We're good. Oh, apologies for not being on this Monday, and getting hair in my mouth. Just making sure we're all good. Okay, good. So we have actually started on this night before. But I think I'm going to change the design a little bit. We didn't really get that far. So yeah, we're gonna start again. It was looking a bit too... I mean, we'll probably still keep this helmet design, and some of this isn't too bad. But let's just start again, and then if we don't like it, we can always come back to this one and play around and fix it. So let's go documents, new documents, no. Alright, let me actually just restart it, because I don't know why it keeps all the subtools when you make a new document. Hold on. Just getting an update from... I swung by the game store that I sometimes go for Kill Team and Spearhead, and just catching up on how that game went. Sounded like it went pretty well. Alrighty. So for this guy, I'm thinking I was going to stick away from doing chainmail, but I want to do chainmail, and I think this guy will be a good design for that. So let's start with... let's just get like a dummy down first. Feels like it's been ages since I did any ZBrush stuff. Probably because it has been. On Monday and Tuesday I wanted to just like smash out some writing, so I started... so I kind of did that instead. Just because over the weekend I hadn't had much time to do any. Actually, I want a wide document. That's fine. Will this still let me... okay, good. So we're adding a bit of thickness just to get that body shape of like how the armor would sit. And then at its peak. And that's alright. I'm gonna add a bit on here for the helmet. But yeah, we've done pretty well the last week. We've gotten a lot more of the rat stuff done. Painted the molten worm, so that's coming along good. Done some writing yesterday and Monday. Probably going to be a busy weekend. Got Crusades on Saturday, and then painting Sunday. I'll do one more middle section. No. It's stupid. Why does it have advertisement in it? Quick snack screensaver. Oh yeah, we've done the test color paint for the Tyranids. I just got to test out an orange or yellow that I want to use. I don't actually want the hips to be that wide, but I'm just trying to get some shape to the leg, the thigh. So that's actually where the knee might be, so we'll make that a bit smaller. Maybe up a bit. I think the legs are okay, but I think we need a bit more torso, so we'll just What's going on here? That should be better. So this is nodding. Oh, we'll just add the feet. And we'll make that a little bigger. And then the arms. I think this is a bit tall. Yeah, I think that's fine. And then, yeah, the hands. Except now we want to kind of like, without moving it too much, something like that. So that'll be our mannequin. Hopefully we don't have to change the proportions too much. So let's go file, save as. So we'll go new folder. Alrighty. We'll kind of just leave that as is. we won't actually, we're basically just going to put the armor on, and then any gaps we'll use the mannequin to fill, really. Oh, that's right, I created the heap of subtools. I'm going to just drop that down to 8 for now, because that's too big. And we are going to, I think we'll start with the chest piece. I'm going to just drop the resolution of this down because we're going to build off this. And we'll just smooth this out. Take the hand, so we'll just move that up a bit. That should be fine. Alright, so from the neck, so we're gonna have chainmail under here, and then I think on the going down the legs, but the rest will be plate. Righty, so we're going to extract. That's actually not too bad. We'll make it a little thicker. That's why won't you let me select? Okay. just give it a little bit of shape. I think at the back it can be flat. And then I'm just going to pull this out a little bit so that we have just somewhere that we can attach the shoulder to, or the shoulder pads. These things are pretty much made as like shells, so we're going to have to remember that while we're putting it together. I'm going to take this up to the back a little bit. So that's going to be our basic armor shape, and we'll just smooth out. So this probably needs to pop out a bit. Very turtle-like. We'll save that. And then I'll just quickly sketch the design I have for this. So something like this, and then a centerpiece. And then we're going to have some wings folding around here. Oops. And then this will carry around the back. And we'll decide if we have anything connecting that there. But we'll turn these into plates so that they actually are a bit more 3D. And we'll add the wings on there. Alright, so we'll have a belt. So we'll start it just slightly off. Maybe like there. Try and just keep the spheres the same size. Alrighty. Something like that for now. Move that. speaking of shoulder pads, let's add one of those. We'll do a spear, that should be fine. So that's gonna sit actually most of the way onto here. Actually, we won't do that because it's going to be stepped down. So we'll make the general shape first. Kind of like something like that. What's this? And then we're going to step it down. Oh, well, actually, no. We'll shape it a bit more. Just going to make this a bit bigger. Because I actually want kind of more like that shape, and then we'll do the same here. bit longer. Add a little more geometry just so I can get a bit of shape in there as well. Okay. Okay. Just want to get some shape so that when I do this step down, we can sort of carry that across in the two additional parts, and you'll see what I mean in a second. There we go. And if we duplicate that, can move this. So just having a discussion about the state of Nintendo at the moment. My thought is that they should basically try again. Switch to not a fan. Duskbloods might make me get one just because I know that it probably won't come out to PC. But it's such a weird console to have a Soulsborne game on. I tried playing Dark Souls on it, and I mean, I sucked at the game anyway. But I don't know. No one's gonna take that around portable. You having kids throwing switches on the bus because they can't beat a boss. They must have paid a lot to get that. They must have seen how well it sold the PS4. And I think people bought it for that game. So in anticipation that it was going to come out anyway this year, so why not get it and just play Mario Kart until it's released? I don't know. The new Mario Kart looked fine, but nothing really different since probably the Wii version, to be honest. I don't know. I just feel like they used to have the big gold seal of approval, and I feel like that, from what I've seen, I mean, I haven't played anything, so I guess until I've played it I can't really say, but from what I've seen, it's like terrible. The new open world Metroid game with bikes. Again, don't get me wrong, the concept is cool, but Samus can already get around quickly, and that's because she rolls. So at the moment, I think their Switch 2s are what, like $700 Australian. I mean, you can buy a lot of Warhammer for $700, and that's not even being modest. Like if you're buying, say, like the new Chaos, any of the new Chaos boxes that came out, they're what, $400, and you're getting quite a sizable army with that. And if you buy it at discount, you're probably getting it at like $350. So I mean, 2 of those would get you to probably 1,500, 2,000 points. Not that you wouldn't. You buy that in a combat patrol and a couple of other bits and pieces, they easily get you an army to play 2,000 points, even if you had to stretch the points a little bit. I'm just trying to think what else we have on this week. So I had forgotten that the new WoW expansion, which I pre-ordered because of course I did, that has an early access release this Friday. I will be streaming. I will not be taking part because it's always a bit of a shitfest to play on release day. And this weekend I got Crusade anyway, so I probably won't get to play till its actual release in March, but it does release, and some people will be hitting whatever the cap, can't even remember what the current cap is, 80, 90 I suppose. They'll be hitting that pretty quickly, I'm pretty sure. God, it's already been an hour. Alright. So the legs, we're going to do chainmail. I'm going to cheat and have a cloth go over the front here. I was going to do a cape, but it would mean making a multi-part model, which I'm not opposed to, but I don't know. I don't think it'll suit. I mean, he's the winged knight, so maybe it'll suit. It's kind of similar to the loincloth that I did on this guy, on the Keystone Guardian. Let's take that cord off. Probably don't need that now. Alrighty. I'm debating whether I actually end up duplicating the shoulder pad or not and having just a chain arm, or maybe just the gauntlets and then having the shield. We'll see. So chainmail to there, and then we got the helmet. We'll do the helmet last, I think. So we'll do. So I think the knees are a little bit too far down, so we're just gonna move those up a little bit. Maybe to there. It might look like they're a bit weird because this foot's. So I think we'll do a sphere for those as well. Just bring that down there. And then we'll just... make it a little bit more oval shaped, and then I'm going to before we start rotating this, I'm going to grab about that much and then scale out and back up and this way. And then we'll grab this much. I know this will stretch this a little bit, but we'll add quite a bit of geometry to keep its shape. But we kind of just want to cut that in, back in again. And then that's pretty much it. Probably just needs to be a bit smaller now. Let's turn that off. And in this section, probably be more like that, and then we'll just something like that anyway. I think the knee's probably too low, probably needs to be there. I think there will be a bit of like readjusting of size and things like that, but it's coming along pretty well so far. Alright, what brush do I actually want? I didn't do the standard brush. That kind of worked, I think. I think I actually want this top bit to be pronounced outwards. That. So we'll do the same to the back. Kind of make it look like this was or is a piece that would kind of clip onto the top maybe. So just for the sake of it, let's just duplicate this. Okay. So then we will make these a bit longer. Alrighty, the greaves. So we'll do the extract method again. But we want like a triangle shape here. And then kind of like that, and then alrighty, let's extract that. That's too much. That's probably fine. We don't want it. Should be okay. Normally I would make one at a time. And we'll just see. Should be okay. gonna give these more of that, just a little more of the greaves looking shape. Something like that. Let's bring the ankles in a little bit. Perfect. I want to make these more a bit more triangular. That's fine. And then, so we're gonna have, what we might do is go brush standards. And then from here to here, we'll do that. And then we'll, oops, pinch. That's pretty much it for now. We'll do some more decoration on that in a moment. But starting to look like the concept that I've got going here. I'm going to delete this. And then we're going to move that up a little bit. And then I'm just going to just bring that up a little bit too. So we've got the shoes and the helmet to do. What are we looking for time? Oh, it's only 9 o'clock. That's right. So I make these more prominent. And again, not because you will see them, because I think the knee pad's going to take care of that, but if we do have any bends, then they're there. The belt. We might make the helmet in 2 pieces. I'm just going to get some water. So we're gonna have a bit of a point there, and then this will come up. Probably won't bring this forward too much more than that. And then actually this, yep, that's fine. Maybe like that. Don't need that anymore, and then we'll probably crank that up a bit just so that it keeps its shape. So then what we want to do is go append sphere, and then that and make sure that I put symmetry on, otherwise it's not going to line up. That will be, I think, like that. And that'll be our general helmet shape. Yep. I gotta remember to add. I keep track of the food that I'm eating at the moment. Just want to close that. Back. Exit. Today. So another one of those. And then I think it was 2 seconds. And then it plays like 1,000 ads between each one. So that'll be the, as I said, that'll be the general shape for this. And then I'm going to go append ring, move that up, across, just move this all in. Something like that, I think. Yes. So something like that, and then we'll have the I'm going to strip this around just a little bit more. On the side. that shape. And then we want it like that. And then we're literally just going to duplicate that again. And then that's where our wings will attach to the helmet. And then on this part, let's do one of those. We want to we don't want to make it too much like Avatar. I mean, yeah, kind of. No, the design's kind of gonna be very sort of like eagle, sort of lots of wings, lots of distinct, not Games Workshop design. But just trying to like get the size and shape of everything sorted, and then we'll go from there. So obviously like this will be duplicated. That's my mirror. This one. And then we'll have I don't know, I want to try chainmail, or maybe I'll do like a few bits of plate maybe on the side and then chainmail leggings. We'll see. I didn't actually draw that part in. And then chainmail under the neck, so under here. But yeah, just this will be one of the first hero models that we'll do. So they'll be fighting all the rats that we've been, or moles that we've been making. And he'll be the winged knight, or the shield knight, with abilities that, such as, you know, shield pushbacks and charges and taunts and shield stuns and things like that. So excited to yeah. Well, I've got three champions to make, and like this is real rough, but there'll be the shield knight, there'll be the, you know, classic big hat witch healer, and then I think the third one will be like a DPS rogue character. And once the heroes are done, it's just terrain to sort of like start working on. And then in the meantime, I've been writing the rules, obviously just taking notes, and anything I write down at lunch or anything like that, just adding that to a big Word document, and then I'll go through and cross out any of the contradictory parts and pretty much go from there. Yeah, well, you know, when you're on hold waiting for someone to respond to a question that you have to pass on to someone else who also doesn't know what's going on, you got a lot of free time, so... I'm just wondering how big I'm going to make this shield, because the drawing's kind of small. But I think it will be... probably about that big. this way then. Wait, we also don't need it to be a big block. Let's go. Yeah, I took Monday off streaming and yesterday as well from any tabletop stuff, and just compiled some of the notes and did a bit of culling through stuff that wasn't applicable anymore. So should be back on track to keep up with doing a stream on Friday, though I'm very reluctant to do that because the expansion for the next WoW expansion not pre-order, what do they call it? Early access is Friday. And then I've got Crusade Saturday, so that'll be all Saturday. Just my luck to have that release, but to be honest, I think it's going to be pretty miserable. It's always a bad time with those releases. Yeah, that'll be game 4. So I'm not taking... I try to play around and get another character into the 1,000 points, but I think I'll just stick with... No, Unreliable. The WoW opening or the WoW release days are always bad. So even if I had all the time on the weekend to play, there'd be hundreds of people or thousands of people playing, so, you know, quests and mobs and things like that will get, you know, taken over, and it'll be hard to complete quests, and the servers will crash and there'll be a queue. So yes, realistically, having Crusade on and then doing painting on Sunday is probably going to be beneficial because it'll stop me from thinking about missing out on something that I'm probably going to be missing out on anyway because the servers will be down, so, or there'll be a DDoS attack, or, you know. But yes, it is game 4, and I did get a suggestion from someone who came into the chat on last Sunday who said to try and take a character with my Shroud Terminators, which are the big scythe-wielding Terminators. But I just couldn't realistically fit it in. So I'll still take the Shroud Terminators, but I'll keep to the 2 lots of 10-man Death Guard, which I think will be more beneficial. And I think we're attacking, so having more firepower is probably better. But the shroud terminators are good because once you start doing damage to units and getting the afflictions on people, then they can deep strike within 6 inches instead of the normal 9, which is very good, which means I believe they can charge after that as well, so they can deep strike 6 and then 6-inch charge, which is obviously not perfect, but it's still better than 9. With the exception of, I think, one of the Raven Guard units that blocks any deep strike if it's within, if it's closer than 12. So I just have to make sure I know which unit that is so that I can deep strike. And then in terms of stats, so they're movement 5s, 2+ saves, 3 to 4 attacks, strength 6 or strength 8 depending on which attack, AP -2 or 3 depending on what attack lethal hits, and then they have a ranged attack which is 12 inches, anti-infantry 4 and torrent, and can deep strike within 6. And then if they have a leader attached, they have -1 to wounds and a 4+ feel no pain. But I can't afford I don't think I can afford the leader. It'd be cool, but I don't know. I feel like giving up too many battle line is detrimental. But then to give the whole, I don't know, to give the whole army the whole squad feel no pain would be pretty good too. Tough decision, but I think I'll just stick with having more lads rather than one super unit that could still just get wiped out in one turn, so. And then there'll technically be a 5th game, and the 5th game is more just a friendly. They want to do 1v1, v1, but I'm not really keen on that because you end up just unintentionally ganging up on people. I'd rather verse the person I was yeah. I prefer the other option, which is to verse the person I've been partnered up with, so Chaos v Chaos, and then the 2 Marine players play off. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Plus his chaos team is I think it's World Eaters. Infiltrator squads. Are they like the anti deep strike team? I think I think from memory that's correct from what he was saying. Yes. Okay, that shield's very big, but I think I like that shape. This shape a little better. Yeah, yeah. I think that would be good, and it's very like thematically, it would make sense for the World Eaters to be on attack and the Death Guard to be on defense. But in some ways, playing that as an opposite would be fun too. I don't know, because my attacking phase would be 3 times as long because my movement's like 4 inches or 5 inches per unit. But I think I mentioned before, the guy that's running it is going to uni, so he starts the following week. So if we actually get that game, it probably won't be for a while. Yeah, but seeing Raven Guard v Dark Angels would also be really cool. But I'm trying to think. At least then after that, there shouldn't be any more games, and I can focus a little bit more on this. And also building some Necromunda models, which I'm very excited to build slash learn the game a little bit more before building. But having two sets of the same thing kind of helps a little bit. So can we do... Okay, that's cool. Yeah, that'll be cool. Are you gonna stick with the like brown and grey scheme? Because I mean, I'm not usually one for box art, following box art, but it kind of works really well. Definitely darker shades, I think, will work well with them. Oh yeah. Yeah, that's true. What did I paint leather on that I thought that ended up being good? It might have been the Krieg model. I'm gonna see if it can do shading. Okay, so like choosing an actual light source so that it's being painted based on like a sun direction. The other thing too is that like a lot of the bases have vents, and I don't know if you're gonna paint them like just as metal, but if you had light coming from underneath as well, just a thought. I don't think I'm gonna go that crazy with them, because also most of my ideas are going to be quite bright colors. So adding additional light might be a bit of a problem, but I don't know, we'll see. Yeah, yeah. I was thinking just doing like rust, um, and then on the boxes. Wait. Terrain boxes. Just take this out so it doesn't fall like on these parts. Doing some graffiti, I think. I think that'll be cool. Yeah, I've seen some good versions of either street art or like neon lighting for the like on the lights. There are quite a few, so I don't know if I'll do all of them, but they've all got these little light sections up here. I think if they were all different kinds of neon, that might be too much, but maybe one or two. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Because I know, like, with 40k terrain, if you're doing, like, overgrown stuff, you can put moss and things like that on. I think with industrial stuff, to add a bit of colour so that you're not just painting silver boxes, you've got to have colourful light sources, or, like, orangey, warm light sources, and then like propaganda posters, but that will take a lot of effort, or graffiti or wall art or something like that. Um, checking. Or is it that? Okay, probably just needs to be smaller. All good. All good. Wait, I need to take that back facing off now. Oh, split up. actually done quite a bit today. Considering we started with basically nothing. We got the drawing, but yeah, starting with nothing and yeah, it's not too bad. What I'll probably do is just take a screenshot and then just slightly change the proportions a little bit, because I can already see that it's a little off, but it's hard when you've only got like, you know, round balls for the fists and things like that. Yeah, just need to make a decision on like what guards we're gonna do, and then I think I'm right. I'll have sort of a similar design, like strapped to the legs, so sort of like. Basically like that, and then we'll grab one of those. That, and then we'll just duplicate this one. Something like that, and then here. Oh no. Why did that delete? I must hit delete by mistake. Nice. Welcome back. Let's re-put this back in. For some reason I deleted it. duplicate. And then mirror. So we definitely won't be one, hitting my desk again. We definitely won't be putting the chainmail in until it's all posed, because when we do the posing, it's going to like completely ruin the chainmail parts. So there's really no point. For 2.5 hours work, yeah, I mean, no, not like every ring, but I don't want to put any, like, I don't want to try and model any chainmail or anything like that until I've posed it. And then I was looking at like the Games Workshop example of chainmail, and it almost, like, for quality purposes, it's almost like rings kind of like this, almost like in a grid pattern, unless they do like strips, and they do like strips of rings. So like for the legs, let's just save. It'll be, I don't think there'll be enough geometry, but it's kind of, I mean, this is just to give an example. Maybe a bit smaller, like maybe double, if I had enough geometry, like half the size. It'll be basically something like that. Again, but a little smaller, and then we'll do the legs, and then the neck, and then I think like under the arm as well. But they definitely don't model their links to link both in a downwards position and in a horizontal position either. So we'll probably keep to that kind of quality. But we could do it with every ring and just make like sections. So do like append ring. Yep. So it would probably be something like that. And then we'll go one more down. And then we'll take these. that becomes a link, right? And then we duplicate this way. And that one there. And then we can duplicate this way. I mean, it doesn't take too long, and then just say like make that a section, yeah. And I know there's probably way better ways of doing this, but then you can literally just chain it together, and then if there was like a bit of a curve, you could just kind of do that. And then it kind of looks like it's stuck together, but really it's just ropes of chain. And then that would, oh yeah, 100% after posing, because as soon as I move the leg, it'll like break itself. But we could have like that there, and then this one. That. Or maybe like here. And then duplicate that one. And then. Now again, probably not the best way of doing it, and I would probably do less links and just do it sort of a little more manual once I had the shapes that I knew that I needed. But individual links doesn't take that long. Like that's not done, but it would be pretty close. And then I could like make a copy of the knee guard and then just subtract that from the rings, and it would be the same shape as the legs. But I think that would be a good scale as well. Enough detail that you could see it, and not too small that you'll end up with just like bumps in the print for where the chainmail is. So we'll save that. We'll save that anyway. We can get rid of them if we don't need them. So, as I said, doing not too bad for coming up to 3 hours now. We've still got to do the boots. Obviously, the arms need the most work, and then that'll be sort of like the fleshing out period. and then I'll take it into Photoshop and then make sure the proportions are all good, and then bring that over and reshape and size everything to that. And then we'll need a sword, and then we'll probably be in a spot for posing, and then we'll add details. So we'll have the wings on the helmet and the wings across the chest piece and the wings on the shield as well. And then I was going to do wings on the boots, but I might not do that. And then obviously like filling out some spots, so making something for the back as well. We're probably, in terms of like getting the general shape, we're probably about 33%, a third. So it's not too bad. And a lot better than the first attempt. Which I think I did just to fill some time on another stream. But yeah, I mean we're getting pretty close to 3 hours, and it's been a long week. I've not had my usual partner in crime in the office, so it drags out a little bit. And Wednesdays and Thursdays are sort of like the worst of the days. Friday being a bit better. So I'll probably leave it there. Thanks for tuning in. I'll try and keep some more updates on the writing so that people know when we're getting closer to a test run. Yeah, I'll be back on Friday. I'll have my break day tomorrow as usual, and back on Friday to do some sculpting, and then back on for Sunday to do more rats. So I will catch you then. Have a good night.